You say you long for love, yet steps keep leading you back into the hurt you claim to escape. Have you seen this cycle? It isn't love you cling to, but the turmoil that shields you from emptiness. The mind dresses it as passion, but it's merely the same tale, the same bruise with different names, different faces. In this talk, I will show you that the pain you feel in love is not a curse at all, but a cleansing. That heartbreak is not the end of love, but the doorway into it. You will see why the same patterns return, why love appears to wound you, and how that hurt can awaken you. I won't teach you to hide from love. I will show you how to love so fully that nothing can harm you. Because when you are love, there is no one left to break. I have watched countless people arrive to me, shattered, shaking, holding what feels like the ruins of their love in their palms. They whisper, "Why does love hurt so deeply?" And I tell them, love has never harmed anyone. What breaks you is the image you created of how love should look. You longed for someone to fill your emptiness. You hoped another would quiet the silence inside you. But emptiness is not your foe. It is the open sky where real love begins. When you stop running from yourself, the ache you carry starts to glow from within. In this talk, we will look closely at what love truly is, beyond the mind's tricks, beyond fear, beyond the urge to possess. I will speak about why we return again and again to the people who wound us, and how that pain becomes the most honest mirror you will ever face. When you stop resisting it, heartbreak can guide you into a depth of stillness you have never known. Together, we will move step by step, from the fantasy of love to the truth of love, and finally into becoming the very presence of love itself. Do not expect quick relief, expect honesty. Do not expect instructions on avoiding hurt. Expect to see that pain itself can be a blessing. And before this talk finishes, you will not only understand why love has stung you, you will feel why every moment of it carried meaning. You have been wounded in love, yes. But in that wound, you have discovered more about yourself than in all the sweet words and soft promises that came before. Pain is a fierce teacher. It does not wait for permission. It arrives like thunder, sweeping away whatever is false and leaving you exposed to your own truth. Many try to outrun that storm. They hide in new people, new distractions, new fantasies of being rescued. But you cannot escape what lives inside you. The pain you feel is not a sentence. It is an unveiling. It shows you what was never real in the first place. And here is a truth most overlook. The heart never breaks because of love. It cracks under the weight of everything that is not love. The grasping, the fear, the belief that someone else must make you whole. Love itself is too vast to be damaged. Only the illusion surrounding it can fall apart. And when that illusion collapses, you call it heartbreak. But what if heartbreak is really the first moment you begin to see clearly? Let me share a story. A disciple once came to me with tears streaming down his face. "Master," he cried, "she's gone. I poured all my love into her and she still walked away. What am I supposed to do now?" I looked at him with a soft smile and said, "She didn't abandon you. She simply moved aside so you could finally notice yourself." At first he was confused, thinking I dismissed his suffering. But as the quiet settled between us, something inside him shifted. He saw that all his affection had been reaching outward, never inward. She was only the doorway. The real encounter was waiting within himself. Pain is a kind of wisdom. It speaks in a language that never lies. Whenever you hurt, life is pointing out a place where you have stopped seeing clearly, where you confused leaning on someone for loving them or clinging for caring. Yet when pain shows up, what is our first instinct? We push it away. We grip the past even tighter. We keep pressing on the same wound, hoping that holding it shut will somehow make it heal. But pain doesn't disappear by resisting it. It softens only when you become aware of it. The moment you face your hurt without running, something subtle shifts. It's like switching on a lamp in a dark room. The darkness doesn't need to be fought. It simply fades. Picture your heart as a cup. When it cracks, you assume it's broken beyond repair. But the crack is the very place where light slips in. The thing you curse becomes the doorway through which understanding flows. Without that crack, there would be no light. Without heartbreak, there would be no awakening. This is love's strange truth. It wounds only to make you real. It breaks only to clear space for what is genuine. Love has no patience for what is false. It isn't interested in keeping you comfortable. It is interested in waking you up. When you say, "Love hurt me," what you're truly saying is that love shattered the illusions you built around your identity. The ego calls that pain. The soul calls it liberation. So when you sit with your broken heart tonight, don't rush to repair it. Don't try to cover it. Just breathe. Let it throb. Let it burn through the fantasies that never served you. This raw, trembling ache is proof that you opened yourself enough to touch something real. And once truth has brushed against you, you cannot return to the old sleep. When you stop treating the wound as an enemy, something remarkable happens. Healing begins, not away from love, but through love itself. And here is a truth most people overlook until life forces them to notice it. Every person you grow close to is a mirror. They don't enter your life by chance, and they don't wound you accidentally. They appear at the exact moment you are finally ready to face a part of yourself you've been avoiding. The one who walks away reveals your fear of being alone. The one who betrays you uncovers the way you still betray yourself. The friend who lets you down shows you the expectations you hide beneath your kindness. Every meeting reflects something within you. And unless you understand this, you'll keep breaking the same mirror again and again, blaming its cracks for what you refuse to see. When I look at people in relationships, I see many trying to polish the reflection, switching partners, changing their appearance, altering their words, while never clearing the dust inside. The mirror itself is not the issue. The dust in the mind is. You can replace the mirror 1,000 times, but until you wipe away that inner dust of fear, doubt, and longing, every reflection will appear distorted. You'll mistake truth for rejection, freedom for betrayal, and transformation for loss. The other person is never the source of your suffering. They only reveal what has always been within you, quietly waiting to be seen. A young seeker once came to me with her face soaked in tears. "Master," she whispered, voice shaking, "why do I keep meeting the same man in different forms?" The story never changes. At first, there is intensity. Then there is ache. At first, he speaks of forever, and then he disappears. I looked at her gently, because her question is the quiet cry of nearly every heart that has ever loved. I told her, The reason the men change but the ending doesn't is simple. The lesson hasn't been learned. Life will send you the same experience in new clothing until you finally see what it has been trying to show you. She fell into silence, staring at the floor. Slowly her breathing softened. She realized that the pattern wasn't the universe punishing her. It was life tapping her shoulder over and over, asking her to wake up. When that understanding reached her, she stopped searching for a different person and began searching for the one she had abandoned long ago, herself. Whenever you point your finger outward, you turn away from your own reflection. But when you look without blaming, transformation begins. The moment you stop asking, "Why are they doing this to me?" and start asking, "What in me is responding this way?" you step out of the cycle that keeps looping. Relationships only become conscious when you stop using them as places to hide and start using them as mirrors. They are not random, they are precise. Each person you meet reveals the current shape of your inner world. The ones you attract are not mistakes, they are teachers. Some arrive softly, guiding you with tenderness. Others arrive like wildfire, burning away what you were never meant to hold. But even the fire is compassionate. It destroys only what your spirit is ready to release. Growth does not happen in comfort. Every step forward comes with friction. That is why love hurts. Not because love is cruel, but because you are still delicate before truth. As your awareness widens, you begin to see how perfectly life mirrors your inner state. When fear rules you, you meet those who prey on it. When guilt weighs you down, you meet those who echo it back. When peace fills you, you meet those who share it. The world outside moves in rhythm with the world inside. And the moment you take responsibility for the reflection you see, your entire life changes shape. No one can fool you if you stop fooling yourself. No one can abandon you if you no longer abandon your own heart. Love can no longer be lost once you discover it within. When this becomes clear, even the ones who walk away leave a blessing behind. They completed what they came to do. You bow inwardly, not with anger, but with gratitude, murmuring, "Thank you for revealing what I could not see alone." When you recognize your lovers as mirrors, blame dissolves into understanding. You stop demanding, "Make me feel loved," and begin asking, "What is love showing me through you?" From that single shift, everything changes. Love stops being an emotional transaction. It becomes a form of meditation. You begin to notice reflections not only in the ones who comfort you, but in the ones who challenge you. Not only in those close to you, but even in strangers who cross your path for a moment. And eventually, you see the reflection in yourself. Something beautiful unfolds from this awareness. Your relationships stop feeling like cages and start becoming doorways to freedom. When gratitude appears, judgment fades. And once judgment fades, love breathes freely, untangled, effortless, pure. The mirror stops frightening you because you realize it was never trying to hurt you. It was always showing you the way home. Every meeting, every goodbye, every heartbreak was guiding you back to your own soul. When you can look into another's eyes and smile at what you see, without fear, without expectation, you have uncovered the secret. Love was never about two bodies touching. It was about two reflections recognizing themselves in the same clear light. And when this understanding ripens, you finally see that love was never outside of you. It was always the clarity within your awareness, consciousness waking up to itself. What I'm about to tell you may sound unusual at first, because for centuries you've been taught the exact opposite. You've been told that love means claiming someone, that proof of love is ownership, that to keep someone close you must hold them tightly, bind them, make them yours. But what if this very belief, the one you were taught to honor, is the root of nearly all your suffering in love? What if love was never meant to be possessed? What if love is as vast as the sky, and you're trying to trap it inside a small pocket? When you try to hold love like property, it withers. Love survives only in freedom. It's like a bird whose song exists because the air is open. Place the bird in a cage, and the song dies, even if the bird remains. Possessiveness always grows from fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of being replaced, fear of facing your own silence. Fear tells you to grip tighter. But love speaks a different language. Fear says, mine. Love says, free. The moment you label someone as yours, you reduce them to an object, something stored in the mind's museum with a tag attached. You start guarding the label instead of honoring the living person behind it. You protect the relationship as if it were property, forgetting that walls built for safety become the very things that choke love's breath. When you truly love, you never say, you belong to me. You say, we belong to existence. You don't cling, you celebrate. There was once a man who adored a nightingale for its beautiful song. Each evening the bird perched on his window and filled the darkness with music so tender that even the stars seemed to pause. But one night, fear crept into his heart. What if it flies away? What if someone else hears this song? So the next morning he caught the nightingale and placed it in a golden cage. He promised to protect it, feed it, love it endlessly. Yet that night, the song was gone. The bird sat silently, its wings drooping, its eyes dull. The man still possessed the bird, but he had lost the music. This is what happens to love when you bind it with control. You keep the shape, but the spirit escapes. When you possess someone, it isn't the person you love. It's the certainty they provide. But certainty is lifeless. It never grows, never surprises, never moves. Love thrives only in uncertainty. Its beauty lies in its fragility, in the truth that it can vanish at any moment. That fragility keeps you awake, tender, grateful. The mind begs for guarantees, but love gives none. Love says, be here now, not because you are required, but because you choose to be. When both people understand this, love becomes sacred, light, effortless, alive. But the ego cannot tolerate the unknown. It labels uncertainty as danger, though it is simply life. And so the ego builds rules, promises, demands, and boundaries in the name of protection, all under the disguise of love. Then one day you wake up and wonder why the flame has died, why what once felt wild and alive now feels heavy and dull. It is because love cannot breathe inside ownership. When you stop trying to clutch love, love begins to hold you. When you release the need for loyalty, you discover presence. Presence is the truest scent of love. It is the art of being with someone so completely that time seems to melt away. It is meeting them in each moment as though you have never seen them before. Because in truth, you haven't. They are new. You are new. This moment has never existed until now. Presence does not ask, will you stay? It only asks, are you here? When you are fully here, fear disappears. The future fades. And with it, the worry of losing anything. Only this breath remains. Only this touch, this quiet, this shared stillness. When two people are truly present with each other, love becomes a meditation. You can sit together without a single word, and the silence will speak more deeply than language ever could. You can look into each other's eyes and see not a person, but eternity reflected back. Presence does not try to fix or reshape the other. It embraces them as they are, and that simple acceptance becomes the very force that transforms both hearts. Presence lets love breathe on its own, the way the tide rolls in and out, effortless, natural, unforced. But the mind will resist. It will whisper, "What if they leave?" And to that, I say, let them, if that is where their path goes. If love is real, it cannot leave you. It only shifts in form. When you trust love enough to release your grip, you create space for it to return freely. And if it does not return, it was never love. It was fear dressed as longing. So let this be your meditation. Sit with your beloved as if you are sitting with existence itself, unpredictable, radiant, and beyond control. Do not trap them in memories. Meet them anew with each heartbeat. If you can do this, you will never again fall in love. Falling means losing your balance, reaching for someone to steady you. Instead, you will rise in love, rising into clarity, rising into freedom, rising into the simple joy of sharing space with another without needing them to fill your emptiness. And when love becomes presence rather than possession, you will understand what it means for two people to hold hands and still remain completely free. Now we enter the most sacred transformation of all, the turning of pain into understanding. The moment when the wound that once scorched you becomes the very flame that guides your steps. Pain never arrives to break you. It arrives to shake you awake. Every heartbreak, every tear, every long night staring into the dark was a hidden invitation. Life was whispering, "Come closer, stop running. There is something you must finally see," but you didn't want to see. You wanted comfort instead of clarity. You wanted relief without awareness. And so the pain lingered, waiting patiently for you to listen. Pain is a teacher that does not use language. It teaches through endings, through loss, through the spaces where something once lived. It peels away the illusions you've wrapped around yourself, the illusion of control, the illusion of forever, the illusion that anything can be possessed. When love leaves, it does not take the truth with it. It takes only the stories you created about how life should unfold. And in that emptiness, in that wide open space where your story collapses, something begins to rise, understanding. But understanding does not grow out of avoidance. It appears when you sit with your pain and allow it to burn without tightening, without running. Most people cannot do this. They distract themselves. They rush into new people, new fantasies, new movements that promise to fill the hollow place inside. But whatever is not faced returns again and again until you meet it with full awareness. Meditation is simply this meeting, the bravery to sit with yourself without turning away. When you meditate on your pain, you do not dissect it. You do not try to explain it. You simply watch it, and something astonishing begins to happen. The pain shifts. The same fire that once seared you starts to illuminate you. The same tears that once weighed you down begin to cleanse you. It is as though the poison becomes medicine the moment you stop fighting it. Once, a woman came to me with her face swollen from tears. "Beloved," she whispered, "how can I ever love again after being betrayed?" I looked at her and said, "Do not try to love again. become love. When you are love itself, no one has the power to betray you. She stared at me, confused, because the mind cannot grasp something so vast. The mind sees only opposites, love and hate, trust and betrayal, closeness and distance. But an awakened heart sees beyond all opposites. When you are love, you stop dividing the world into those who gave and those who took. You understand that no one ever took anything from you. Every experience only widened your capacity to feel. Even betrayal becomes a strange kind of blessing, for it pushes you inward to discover the love that does not depend on anyone else. A broken heart is not the final chapter. It is the beginning of your awakening. Every fracture in your heart becomes a doorway into compassion. Compassion is not pity. It is the ability to recognize that everyone carries wounds you cannot see. When you have suffered deeply, your judgment fades. You begin to sense the hurt behind someone's anger, the fear behind their silence, the longing behind their coldness. You suddenly see that no one truly harmed you. They were moving unconsciously, like someone lost in a dream. And when you see this, your pain softens. It begins to dissolve on its own because it has already taught you what it came to teach. The lotus blooms only in mud. Without the darkness beneath it, there would be no blossom above it. Without the murky water, there would be no fragrance. You are the same. Your heartbreaks, your losses, your disappointments, they are the mud in which your soul takes root. If you reject the mud, you reject the very ground of your becoming. When you truly see this, you stop cursing your suffering. Instead, you bow to it. You whisper, "Thank you for arriving. Thank you for breaking me open. Thank you for revealing what I could not face." This gratitude is the first sign that transformation has begun. And how does this transformation appear? You start smiling again, but now your smile carries the quiet weight of wisdom. You love again, but your love no longer clings. You cry again, but your tears no longer drown you. They wash you clean. You begin to notice beauty in the simplest of things. The rustling of leaves, the warmth of sunlight, the faint pulse of life moving through you. The world hasn't changed. You have. Pain has polished your vision until you can finally see clearly. When pain turns into understanding, understanding becomes compassion, and compassion becomes love. Not the kind of love that needs or demands, but the kind of love that simply shines. It doesn't ask, it doesn't grasp, it doesn't choose, it just exists. And that is the highest state a human being can experience. When you reach this state, heartbreak stops terrifying you. You no longer run from it. You open your arms and say, "Come in, teacher." Because now you understand that pain refines the soul. Once you taste this inner alchemy, once you witness how awareness turns suffering into gold, you begin to trust life fully. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead murmur, "What is this here to teach me?" That single shift turns every wound into wisdom, every ending into the start of something new. And even in pain, there is peace, not the peace of emptiness, but the peace of understanding. When you can sit inside your suffering and still see beauty. When you can feel your hurt and still stay open. When you can look at the person who caused you pain and genuinely feel gratitude instead of bitterness. That is when you finally understand love. Love is not something you discover outside yourself. It is what remains when everything unnecessary has fallen away. And from that stillness from that clarity, love grows again. Not love born from need, but love born from being. There comes a moment in every seeker's journey when the search dissolves completely. You stop looking for love and realize it was within you the entire time. You were like a wave searching desperately for the ocean, crying, "Where is the sea? Why can't I find it?" Never realizing that every drop of your being was made of nothing but water. This is the final step. The moment when both the seeker and the thing being sought dissolve, and only love remains. When you have walked through the fires of pain, when you have looked into the mirrors of relationship, when you have discovered the emptiness of possession and allowed every illusion to fall away, what remains is not a void, but a fullness you had forgotten. You see that love was never something you did, nor something someone else gave you. It was the quiet presence in which everything unfolded. It was there when you laughed. It was there when you wept. It was there even in your loneliness, waiting for your attention. People often ask me, "Where do I find love?" And I tell them, stop searching. You cannot find what you already are. The search itself is the barrier. The moment you believe love lives somewhere outside, you create the separation that hurts you. When the searching stops, the distance disappears. Love was never gone. Your awareness of it was. When the mind falls still, even for a moment, love rises like a spring that was hidden beneath heavy stones of fear and thought. It does not aim at anyone. It flows naturally in every direction. It no longer needs an object. It becomes your way of being. You begin to understand love not as a feeling towards someone, but as the very substance of your existence. When you breathe, it is love breathing you. When you look, it is love seeing through your eyes. The same force that moves through the oceans, the forests, the stars, moves through you. And when you truly feel this, not as an idea or belief, but as lived experience, you realize that no one can give or take love from you again. Others can only reflect or awaken what was already alive within you. Even the ones who hurt you were messengers, not thieves. They came to remind you of the depth you had forgotten. Without them, you might have remained asleep. So even your wounders deserve a quiet gratitude, for they drew you closer to yourself. There is an old story of a man who spent his life searching for the divine. He crossed deserts, climbed mountains, prayed in temples, sat with saints, yet peace never came. Finally, exhausted, he sat under a tree by a river and wept. "I have looked everywhere," he said, "and I cannot find you." And from the stillness came a whisper, "I have been here all along, inside the one who searches." And the man began to laugh through his tears. That laughter was awakening. It was love recognizing itself. When you become love itself, there's no clinging, no fear, no need to label or define what you are. You move through the world like wind through branches, touching everything, holding nothing. You can be with someone without losing your freedom. You can walk alone without feeling lonely. You can give endlessly and remain untouched because what you give is infinite. You become like the sun, shining not because someone deserves it, but because shining is your nature. The flower does not bloom for applause. It blooms because blooming is what it is. And when you recognize your nature as love, your presence becomes a quiet blessing to everyone around you, even those who cannot understand it. This is what I mean when I say that in discovering love, you discover the sacred. Not as a figure in the sky, but as the essence breathing in all things. When love expands without condition, you feel that essence everywhere, in a child's cry, in the rain's rhythm, in the eyes of a stranger, in the silence between words. You stop asking, "Who loves me?" and begin asking, "How can I live as love itself?" That shift is liberation. That is awakening. And then a new kind of relationship appears, not between two hungry hearts begging for comfort, but between two overflowing beings who share their abundance. No one uses, no one clings. They dance together and are free to move apart when the rhythm changes. Love born from being love cannot wound you, because it does not seek to possess. It seeks only to celebrate. So remember this: love was never stolen. It was never missing. It was simply buried beneath the noise of longing. Now that you see through these illusions, you can return to the boundless space within. The space where love is not an action but your very nature. When you rest there, you understand that nothing can harm you and everything can pass through you. You become the ocean, vast, still, holding every wave, every storm, every reflection of the moon. The waves may rise and fall, but the ocean remains unchanged. Now you see clearly, love was never lost, only hidden behind your ideas of it. Let us return now, completing the circle, from heartbreak to wholeness, from searching to simply seeing, from tumbling into love to living as love. And when you become love itself, even your pain turns into poetry. Even the silence becomes a song.